Great. We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus DEAVE McNeil. It's 26 CF 324 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Attorney Madison Kelly on behalf of DIAVE McNeil, who appears in person and in custody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Looks like you've got a copy of the complaints
I do.
and waiving a formal reading.
We will waive the reading.
Do we have a good address on the complaint for Mr. McNeil?
Yes, that's the current address.
Okay. We'll make a finding of probable cause. There's a public safety assessment report. It recommends a signature bond. If you don't have a copy of that, Attorney Schluter probably has that in his paperwork somewhere. What's the state's position on bail?
State's recommending cash bail in the amount of $5,000, along with the conditions that the defendant not use or possess any dangerous weapons and have no contact with Antoine Weathers Jr. That's ANTJUAN. As to the reason for the cash, I'll note what's being alleged is the defendant shot at the victim and hit him once in the leg. I'll also note what's being alleged is a very dangerous Act 3 eligible offense. The defendant has no criminal history that I'm aware of, but I think given this exposure here coupled with the Act 3 analysis warrants significant cash.
Great. And the defense position?
Yeah, we're going to be requesting either a signature bond or a $1,000 cash bail. Mr. McNeil lawfully owns his gun and he is a CCW holder. We heard that he has no criminal history, does have strong local ties. He's employed in the area and he does have residency in the area. He's never been charged with a crime and he has no prior failures to appear. Along with the actual incident, so this incident involved Mr. McNeil's girlfriend's. It's at her residence with her son's dad as the injured party here. Because this is an Act 3 case, we can consider any potential affirmative defenses, including self-defense here. We do have reason to believe that the injured party here arrived to the residence unannounced and uninvited, armed with a gun, and initiated the physical contact between himself and Mr. McNeil. And Mr. McNeil was struck in the face with a dangerous weapon, and he then reacted, which is then the firing of the gun. Our office has also been contacted by the Madison Police Department inquiring about an ongoing investigation related to the to this incident and to the injured party here. So I do believe either a lower cash amount or a signature bond is most appropriate here.
Great. And any response from the state?
No, I have nothing new to add. Thank you.
Well, there's certainly things in Mr. McNeil's favor and some that are not. And certainly the charge and the allegation that involves a weapon is extremely serious. It is the type of charge that often ends in prison and can be substantial prison if convicted. That does provide an incentive not to appear. It's also extremely dangerous conduct that I think the public needs protection from. In his favor, there's no prior record, so he's never missed court. He's got ties to the area. The affirmative defense, I don't know how that's going to shake out. I don't know that I've got enough information, but there's certainly reference to his version of what occurred here. That's a factor to take into account. Quite frankly, I think when I balance the things that are not in his favor and the things in his favor, the state's request is a pretty reasonable request. I'm often setting cash bail much higher in shooting cases. I'm not going to go below the $5,000. I'll order that. I will order that he not use or possess any dangerous weapons, as that term is defined by the statutes, and that he have no contact, direct or indirect, with Antoine Weathers Jr. We could set it for a prelim in the next 10 days if you'd like.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, the clerk can let you know what we've got for a date.
I'm looking at February 17th, 2:30.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Next up is BRAYDIN ERICKSON, appearing by Zoom for a formal truth.
All right, we'll go on the record in the County of Dane versus BRAYDIN ERICKSON. It's 26 FO 241 appearance.
ADA Sam Smith for the state. Defendant appears in custody in the Dane County Jail via Zoom.
All right, and Mr. Erickson, the good news is you're not getting charged with a crime. You've been charged with county obstructing, resisting an officer. So that's non-criminal, more like a traffic ticket. They're gonna have an offer. If you want to accept the offer, then it can be done with the case. Either way, you're gonna get released from custody today. I don't see anything else that's holding you, okay?
Okay.
What's the county's offer?
That'd be court costs only.
Okay, if you want to accept that offer and enter a no contest or guilty plea to the charge, you'd need to pay court costs of $114.50 in the next 60 days, or we're paying for the clerk's office if you need more time. Did you want to accept that offer or do you want to contest the charges?
I'll accept it.
I'll judge you guilty based upon your no contest plea to the charge, or you pay the court cost of $114.50 and we'll be adjourned.
Next up is Ryan Smith, appearing by Zoom.
Have a seat right in that plastic chair and you're up right now. Just have a seat there and court will start. You're getting out of here in a while, all right?
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Bryant Smith. It's 25 CF 861 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Bryant Smith appears by video and in custody with Brianna Zawada. Mr. Smith has received a copy of the complaint. We waive its formal reading, reserve all jurisdictional insufficiency objections. I am his appointed attorney, so he's eligible for public defender representation. As for the address, I want to update it. He's got outstanding warrants in Winnebago County, but assuming that gets addressed as well, his address would be 4621 North Sheridan Road, Chicago, Illinois, 60640.
All right, and is that Winnebago County, Wisconsin?
Yes.
And I guess I'm not seeing on my booking sheet that he's got any outstanding warrants from anywhere, but I could take a look. I'll make a finding of probable cause and state's position on bail.
State's recommending a signature bond and a ban from Aschbach Auto LLC. It's AESCHBACH.
Any objections?
No, thank you.
All right, just give me a moment. Well, it does look like in Winnebago County 24 CF 272, they may have issued a complaint warrant. I don't know why it's not showing up on my booking sheet. I'll go along with the joint recommendation with a bit of skepticism, given that he's got a warrant somewhere else. Condition of your signature bond will be a ban for Aschbach Auto LLC. And what about time limits for the preliminary hearing?
Your Honor, we'll waive time limits. Well, actually, I don't think that has to be addressed. I'm going to raise competency at this time. I believe I have reason to doubt Mr. Smith's competency, so I think that wouldn't require a waiver of time limits, but a good cause finding.
And actually, I don't know that we have to have a good cause finding because I think the time limits get told. Once competency is raised, I'll find a basis to doubt competency based on counsel's representations. I think I've already found probable cause. I'll order a competency evaluation and we'll be adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is Keith Moffett. Great. Let's see in the last.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Catherine Moffett. It's 26 CF 325 appearances.
Sam Smith for the state.
Eric Schlitter appears with Katie Moffett, who appears in person in custody. Ms. Moffett is eligible for public defender representation. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, waive formal reading, and would update Ms. Moffett's mailing address to 1819 Aberg Ave, the job center.
All right, I'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty plea to the misdemeanor charge. There's a public safety assessment report. It recommends a signature bond. State's position on bail.
State's recommending a signature bond along with the condition that the defendant not consume or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
Any objections?
No.
State will order a signature bond. Condition will be that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And as to time limits.
I would keep the time limits.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Right this way. Next up is DeAndre Adams, appearing by Zoom.
Call the state of Wisconsin versus DeAndre Adams. It's 26 CF 321 appearance.
Eric Schlitter appears with DeAndre Adams, who appears in custody by Zoom. Mr. Adams, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? Okay, Mr. Adams has indicated that he can hear me. Mr. Adams, have you gotten a copy of the criminal complaint in this matter? Okay, and is the address listed on 1137 South 73rd Street Upper still the best mailing address for you?
Correct.
I don't currently have any information about Mr. Adams' eligibility for public defender representation, but would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint and waive formal reading.
Okay, so Mr. Adams, Attorney Schluter is going to help you here today. If you can't hire an attorney on your own, contact the public defender's office.
Okay.
We'll ask that they provide you the contact information.
Okay,
I'll make a finding of probable cause, state's position on bail.
State's requesting a signature bond along with the conditions that the defendant have no contact with Donald T. Common spelling for Donald and T is in Tom for the last initial. Also requesting a ban from the men's shelter at 2002 Zaire Road. And just in support of those conditions, I'd note, it's my understanding they mirror 26 CF 145.
Okay, any objections?
That's also my understanding, so no objection.
All right, we'll order a signature bond. Conditions will be though that you have no contact direct or indirect with Donald T and that you be banned from the men's shelter at 2002 Zaire Road. What about time limits for the preliminary hearing? Mr. Adams would have the right to that in the next 20 days.
We'd ask that you keep them.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Next up is SHAUNTA Daniel.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus SHAUNTA Daniel. It's 26 CM 321. And then we have 25 CF 2449 and 25 CF 1581 for bail hearings. Appearances.
Sam Smith for the state.
Eric Schlitter appears with SHAUNTA Daniel, who appears in person in custody. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. The address listed is correct. Waive formal reading.
And are you going to be getting her a lawyer after today?
She is eligible for public representation.
All right, I'll make a finding of probable cause in the misdemeanor case. Enter a not guilty plea to the charge. And then we need to address bail in the two felony cases. She did not appear on January 15th of this year for a preliminary hearing. The court ordered a body only bench warrant. Looks like there was clerical error, something, the warrant didn't get sent to the judge or commissioner to sign and didn't go off to the sheriff's department. So a warrant never actually got issued, but we need to address that. What's the state's position on bail on each of the three cases?
Well, Your Honor, I'll start by mentioning on, as you mentioned, on January 15th, I believe it was, the preliminary hearing that the defendant failed to appear for. I'm also seeing bench warrants issued September 12th, 2025, April 23rd, 2021, and 4 more failures to appear across 2019. For that reason, I'm asking for $1,000 per case on each of the felonies and the reinstatement of the non-monetary conditions, and $500 on the misdemeanor case, 26 CM 321. As for conditions on that case, I'd be requesting no controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
Right, and Attorney Schluter?
Thank you, Judge. So we're asking the court to, I think in the 2 cases that we're either rule or fail on, I believe signature bonds have previously been ordered in those. We're asking the court to reinstate those. We'd also be asking for a signature bond in the misdemeanor matter. I guess just looking briefly at the cases that we're here for bail on, it looks like, I'll certainly say, looks like Ms. Daniel has an attorney on those cases. I'm not her attorney, so I don't know the specifics here, but it looks like there was several requests from the attorney to reschedule dates, and I think the date that was ultimately missed, that January 15th date, had been set without Ms. Daniel previously in court, or I think, receiving notice in hand necessarily of that date. I'd note here that as indicated by her address, Ms. Daniel is homeless, and so I think as we oftentimes see, folks with that, I think housing difficulty, and changes of court dates, when they're not in court to get that next date, I think oftentimes does lead to misses here. And I think that was the issue here. Ms. Daniel says she wasn't aware that she had a court date scheduled on the 15th. When that, I think that miss happened, and as the court mentioned here, a warrant was never issued, but so I think for that reason, we'd ask the court to reinstate the signature bonds on those cases. As far as the misdemeanor case goes here, I think in just looking at the conduct, these are misdemeanor matters. I think even as alleged, this appears to be addiction issues that Ms. Daniel is dealing with. I don't think this is something that necessitates her sitting in custody. I can say that she is indigent. I don't believe she has any money to post for cash bail between these 3 cases. So we would ask the court to, again, reinstitute the signature bonds in the felony cases and order a signature bond in this misdemeanor matter.
All right. I'm satisfied cash is necessary to assure appearance. She's missed a preliminary hearing twice in one of the cases. The other time was back in September. I don't have any great confidence that anything's really changed as far as her ability to appear. I don't dispute she's not taken off and fleeing to a different jurisdiction, but we do need to get her to court to resolve these cases. I'm satisfied that a much lower amount than the state's requested, given the nature of the offenses as outlined by Attorney Schluter, is appropriate. In the felonies, I'll set $300 cash bail, and the prior non-monetary conditions. In the misdemeanor, I'll set $200 cash bail, order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. If you've got a working cell phone, that might be a good idea to sign up for text message reminders. The other option is you can always come to the courthouse. There's a kiosk to look up court dates and stay in contact with your attorney. You got to make your court dates, so these cases are never going to resolve, and the cash bail is just going to keep going up. Okay, we are adjourned.
Next up is Samuel Holmes, appearing by Zoom.
Well, on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Samuel Holmes, it's 26 CF 329 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Samuel Holmes, who appears in custody by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. Mr. Holmes, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Holmes just indicated that, and I can also hear Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes, have you gotten a copy of the criminal complaint in this matter?
Yes, I have.
Okay, is the mailing address listed on Dempsey Road, that 4002, the best mailing address for you?
Yes.
Okay. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, waive formal reading. Mr. Holmes is eligible for public presentation.
Great, I'll make a finding of probable cause for the charges and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. The PSA report recommends a signature bond. State's position on bail.
State's requesting cash bail in the amount of $3,000, along with the conditions that the defendant not operate a motor vehicle, not consume or possess alcohol. And I would ask that he be referred to pretrial services for alcohol monitoring. Support of the cash, I'll note what's being alleged here is what I believe will be the defendant's 6th OWI. And if he's convicted of that and the, I guess, flee elude charge on there as well, there is certainly prison exposure, so I think cash is warranted. In addition to the argument that those that flee from law enforcement are less likely to come to court without a cash incentive to do so.
Great, and Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking the court to go along with the PSA's recommendation here and order a signature bond. I do think it's relevant that has looked at the relevant factors and believes that a signature bond would be appropriate. I can certainly understand from the state's perspective here, it's a serious charge. But just because somebody is facing mandatory prison doesn't mean that they won't come back to court and resolve matters. I think we see all the time that people do. I don't believe that cash bail is necessary here just to ensure that Mr. Holmes is going to come back to court. I think there is a distinction, certainly in somebody allegedly trying to get away from police when maybe their identity is not known. I think the complaint here certainly indicates that once Mr. Holmes, I think, was interacting with law enforcement, he was cooperative and compliant. He agreed to perform standardized field sobriety testing, I think agreed to evidentiary testing. And certainly there's no indication that he was resistive once police were interacting with him and brought him into custody. So I think certainly here the state is aware of who Mr. Holmes is. So I don't think there's the same concern that Mr. Holmes won't come back to court on a signature bond to resolve this matter. So for those reasons, Judge, we'd ask the court to go along with the signature bond.
All right, and Mr. Rogers, on the Samuel Holmes case, it looks like there's been at least one failure to appear older than 2 years. Do you have that information handy? And you're muted still.
You talking to me, sir?
I'm talking to Mr. Rogers, our pretrial assessor. And if you know the information, Attorney Smith, quicker than Mr. Rogers does, let me know.
I'm seeing a couple bench warrants issued, 2 in 2009. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, is this a Bryant Smith?
Samuel Holmes,
Oh, Samuel Holmes, sorry.
26 CF 329. It said there was failures to appear older than 2 years, and the state was aware of some in 2009. Do you have anything different than that on your information?
I have a 2016 case in Dane County. It's 16 CT 576. On 6/27 of 16, there was a failure to appear at the initial appearance and a bench warrant was issued. And that's the only failure to appear that I see.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Attorney Smith?
No.
Anything else, Attorney Schluter?
I just pulling that case up here. It looks like the complaint was filed. I don't know that there's anything from that record that shows that Mr. Holmes would have been served notice of that. And so I think most likely where the miss would have come from.
Yeah, I think he was served one citation in person that had a May court date. Mailed a different one that had the June 27th court date. I don't know whether he ever got that or not. Looks like there may have been a change of address at some point in time. It looks like I was the one who handled that, and I wasn't satisfied that there was service and adjourned it and didn't issue a warrant. I don't put much weight on the failures to appear. It's certainly concerning that there's mandatory prison time. And then it's concerning that there's the fleeing, eluding behavior. To me, that's not consistent with somebody who's going to show up voluntarily in court. To me, that's more consistent with somebody who knows the consequences of what's going on. He's not, you know, some 20-year-old kid who's making a mistake with the first time he's had contact with law enforcement if he's looking at OWI 6. I'll set $2,000 cash bail, order that he not operate a motor vehicle, that he not possess or consume alcohol. If you do post that, you need to report to pretrial services no later than 10 a.m. on the business day following your release. We'll make sure you get that information about their offices, but they're on the 5th floor of the Dane County Courthouse. And they'll equip you with a breathalyzer or a bracelet or something to monitor your alcohol use. What about time limits for the preliminary hearing?
Keep them, please.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Next up is Arturo Herrera Rojas, hearing by Zoom.
Just a reminder for council, we're going to have to speak in short sentences since it looks like you'll have to do it consecutively. We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Arturo Herrera Rojas. It's 26 CM 322 appearances.
Muy bien, vamos a poner en el caso, vamos a poner en el acta el caso del estado de Wisconsin contra Arturo Herrera Rojas, 26 CM 322. Las comparecencias.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Fiscal asistente Sam Smith por el estado.
Eric Schluter appears with Arturo Herrera Rojas.
El abogado Eric Schluter compareciendo de parte del señor Arturo Herrera Rojas.
Mr. Rojas appears in person in custody.
El señor Herrera Rojas comparece presencialmente preso por Zoom.
Mr. Rojas, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Señor Herrera Rojas, ¿me puede señalar con el dedo gordo si me escucha bien? Gracias.
Okay, and Mr. Herrera Rojas, did you get a copy of the criminal complaint?
Y señor Herrera Rojas, ¿ha usted recibido copia de la denuncia criminal?
Sí, pero todo viene en inglés.
Yes, but it's all in English.
Okay. Judge, is it possible for me to have a brief breakout room with Mr. Herrera Rojas?
¿Es posible tener un cuarto aparte brevemente con el señor Herrera Rojas?
I assume that they can accommodate that.
Me imagino que sí lo puedan acomodar.
If it's simply to go over the charges, I believe that we could do that in open court.
Si es solamente para repasar los cargos, lo podemos hacer aquí en la corte abiertamente.
I suppose I also haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Herrera Rojas, so it'd be preferable if I can get a breakout room.
Sería preferible si pudiera yo hablar con él aparte por un momento.
Are we able to accommodate that?
¿Se puede hacer? Sí.
Okay, we'll be adjourned for a moment.
Vamos a ir por un momento.
Arthur. Podium.
We'll go on the record in the County of Dane versus Chad Martin, 26 FO 242 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state. Defendant appears in person in custody in the Dane County Jail.
All right, and Mr. Martin, I've got some good news. They've decided not to charge you with any criminal charges in Dane County. The bad news is it looks like there's an extraditable warrant out of Will County, Illinois. That's a separate issue. It's not going to be addressed today. It probably will be on the calendar tomorrow or the day after. But for the county obstructing resisting officer charge, since that's non-criminal, they're going to have an offer. If you want to accept that, then you can just be done with this case, okay?
That'd be court costs only.
The $114.50. You don't have to pay it up front like bail. You have to pay that in the next 60 days or work out a payment plan. Did you want to accept that offer or do you want to contest the charges? Right, I'll judge you guilty of county obstructing resisting officer based on your no contest plea.
Can I sit the file up so I can put it minutes?
You can't sit the time out, but if you need more time to pay it, just contact the clerk's office, okay?
I don't slip right now, I can bill payments.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right, they'll give you some info while making the payments and then
Next up is
I'll be back for it the next day or so. I talked over that. Who is the next one? Bradford Riffle, okay.
Riffle. Podium.
Great, we'll go on the record in the County of Dane versus Bradford Riffle. It's 26 FO 243 appearances.
Sam Smith for the state. Defendant appears in person in custody in the Dane County Jail.
All right, and Mr. Riffle, they've given you the forfeiture complaint that alleges county disorderly conduct. That's non-criminal. It's not going to keep you in custody after today. I don't see anything else holding you, so I think you're getting released today no matter what.
Okay.
But they will have an offer, and if you want to accept that offer, then you can be done with the case, okay?
All right.
Offering this one would be court costs only.
So if you want to enter a no contest or guilty plea to the charge, you have to pay court costs of $114.50. That would be paid either in the next 60 days or work out a payment plan with the clerk's office if you needed more time.
Okay.
Did you want to accept their offer? Or do you want to contest the charges?
Except that I had a blood pressure issue and they took me to the hospital. I don't know why they arrested me for disorderly conduct.
I don't have more information than you have. If you wanted to contest the charges, you're still going to get released and you could talk to the prosecutor at the pretrial conference and see if you can resolve it. I can't do anything better than take your plea and give you the minimum, which is court costs. Is that what you want to do, or do you want to enter a not guilty plea?
That.
Okay. I'll judge you guilty based on your plea to the county disorderly conduct or the court costs, $114.50. They'll give you some info about making the payment and you'll get released yet today, okay?
All right, Mr. Riffle, right this way. Next up is ZACK. HEYDENRYCH. HEYDENRYCH. Yeah, HEYDENRYCH. All right. Let's go on to the podium.
We'll call the County of Dane versus Zach Haydenrich. It's 26 FO 246 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state. Defendant appears in person in custody in the Dane County Jail.
All right, and sir, you've been charged with county disorderly conduct as a domestic. It's a non-criminal charge, more like a traffic ticket.
Okay.
I don't think anything else is holding you, so you're going to get released today.
Great.
They are going to have an offer. If you want to accept that, then you can be done with the case, okay? What's the offer?
That'd be court costs.
So it's going to be court costs plus the DV surcharge. That comes to $214.50.
Okay.
You'd have to pay that in the next 60 days or work out a payment plan. Did you want to accept their offer and enter a no contest or guilty plea to the charge? Or do you want to contest the matter and enter a not guilty plea to the charge?
Can you just repeat what the deal is again, one more time?
Pleading to the charge for $214.50 to be paid within the next 60 days or work out a payment plan if you need more time to pay. That's the offer.
I will take the offer.
Okay, I'll judge you guilty of county disorderly conduct as a domestic. Based upon your no contest plea, you already pay court costs plus the DV surcharge. They'll give you the info about making the payments of $214.50 and we'll be adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we going back with my guy now?
Yes, estamos aquí otra vez.
Yep, you're welcome. We are back on the record in 26 CM 322.
Estamos aquí en el acta otra vez en 26 CM 322.
The appearances are the same as before.
Las comparecencias son las mismas como antes.
And Attorney Schluter, I don't know if we got through your spiel yet.
No sé si hemos repasado por lo que usted quiso decir.
No, I would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. I was able to go over that with Mr. Herrera Rojas.
Reconozco haber recibido la denuncia criminal. Lo he logrado repasar con el señor Herrera Rojas.
The address listed is correct, and Mr. Herrera Rojas is eligible for public defender representation.
La dirección es correcta y el señor Herrera Rojas sí califique para el defensor público.
I'll make a finding of probable cause and enter not guilty, please.
Voy a hacer una determinación de motivo fundado y entrar en el acta una declaración no culpable.
State's position on bail.
Posición del Estado sobre la fianza.
State is requesting $500 cash
El Estado pide $500 de dinero en efectivo
and no contact with Raquel C.E.
y ningún contacto con Raquel C.E.
RACQUEL.
RACQUEL.
This is the defendant's third open case.
Este es el tercer caso pendiente para este acusado.
He also failed to appear on September 25th, 2025.
Él también falló en comparecer el día 25 de septiembre del 25
And he was in warrant status for a month after that.
y estaba con orden de arresto por un mes después de eso.
For those reasons, the state feels some cash is necessary.
Por esos motivos, el Estado opina que una fianza de caución es necesaria.
And Attorney Schluter.
Y abogado Schluter.
Thank you. We're asking the court for a signature bond in this matter.
Pedimos una fianza de promesa en este caso, su señoría.
Mr. Herrera Rojas is indigent.
Señor Herrera Rojas es una persona indigente, pobre.
He did recently lose his job. He'd previously been working as a painter.
Recientemente perdió su trabajo, había trabajado como pintor.
He and REC share a young child.
Él y REC comparten un niño pequeño.
Mr. Herrera Rojas watches that child while REC is working.
El señor Herrera Rojas cuida a este niño mientras que REC está trabajando.
I've previously had conversations with REC where she's noted, I think, the importance of support while she works.
He hablado anteriormente con REC, donde ella me ha indicado que ella cuenta con este apoyo de cuidar al niño mientras que ella trabaja.
I note that since the warrant or the missed appearance that the state had previously mentioned, Mr. Herrera Rojas has not missed court.
Y puedo indicar también que después de que él faltó la corte y estaba con orden de arresto por un tiempo, desde entonces no ha faltado la corte.
It is my understanding that Mr. Herrera Rojas could not afford to post the $500 cash bail the state is requesting.
Tengo entendido que el señor Herrera Rojas no puede pagar los $500 que el Estado está pidiendo.
But just note from the criminal complaint, Mr. Herrera Rojas was compliant with police when he interacted with them.
Se puede concluir de la denuncia criminal que el señor Herrera Rojas estaba cumpliendo con las órdenes de la corte y cooperando con los oficiales.
REC, in talking to the police, had mentioned that this was an argument, which what she described as accidental physical contact.
RS describe esto como un argumento mutuo con un impacto accidental.
So given the importance that Mr. Herrera Rojas plays in his family, and I think the mitigated nature of the charges, we'd ask for a signature bond.
Dado los cargos que no son tan graves y la necesidad para la familia, pedimos una fianza de promesa.
We'd also ask that the court not impose a no contact with REC.
Y que tampoco se imponga una orden prohibiendo contacto con RS.
All right, and the clerk noted that he believes the victim may be on Zoom. If they are and want to make a statement, they would need to unmute.
Y mi secretaria me ha indicado que tal vez la víctima está presente por Zoom. Si es así, por favor, prendan el volumen de su aparato, su micrófono, para poder decirme lo que me quieran decir.
They would also need to identify themselves if they wanted to make a statement about bail or bond conditions.
También se necesitarían identificar con su nombre si es que quieren hacer alguna declaración para las condiciones de la fianza.
And the audio button to unmute should be in the lower left tab.
Y ahí el audio se puede hacer clic donde hay un micrófono al fondo, la parte izquierda de abajo de la pantalla de Zoom.
Right, I think the person I believe to be the victim and Mr. Herrera Rojas is unmuted.
Ahora pienso que la persona identificada como la víctima está presente por Zoom con su aparato prendido.
If the victim could just identify themselves first.
Si la víctima puede identificarse para empezar primero con solamente su nombre y apellido.
Mi nombre es Raquel Cruz.
My name is Raquel Cruz.
And Ms. Cruz, did you want to make a statement about bail or bond conditions for Mr. Herrera?
Y señorita Raquel Cruz, ¿quiere usted decirnos algo sobre lo que opina usted sobre las condiciones de fianza para el señor Herrera Rojas?
Oh, perdón, no lo escuché.
¿Perdón?
No lo escuché.
I couldn't hear you.
I asked whether you wanted to make a statement about the bail or bond conditions for Mr. Herrera.
Le estoy preguntando si usted quiere hacer una declaración para decirnos algo sobre la fianza del señor Herrera.
No,
If you don't want to make a statement, that's fine.
Si no quiere decir algo, está bien, no necesita decir nada.
no.
No.
Okay.
Ok.
Any response from the state?
¿Alguna respuesta para el Estado?
No,
No, I'm fine. I'm good.
I'll note, I believe this individual is also a victim in 24 CM 2794.
Puedo indicar también que esta persona es una víctima del caso 24 CM 2794.
So at this point, and due to the failure to appear as well, I'm going to maintain my request.
Por esa razón y también por la falta de comparecer anteriormente, me quedo con mi solicitud de la fianza de $500.
And Attorney Schluter, anything else?
Y abogado Schluter, ¿algo que agregar?
I'll just note from the criminal complaint, it doesn't appear that a 72-hour no contact was enforced by the alleged victim here.
Y de lo que tengo de información en las actas es que la víctima no pidió tener una orden prohibiendo contacto durante 72 horas.
All right. Well, my concern is we've tried less restrictive bail conditions with the no acts or threats of violence.
Mi preocupación es que hemos intentado la condición menos restrictiva anteriormente de ningunos actos de violencia o amenazas de violencia.
Then we're back here with more charges involving physical violence.
Y luego estamos aquí otra vez con más acusaciones de actos de violencia.
The defendant admits striking the victim with an open right hand.
El acusado admite haberle pegado a la víctima con una mano abierta.
After becoming angry or jealous at what he found on her phone.
Después de enojarse o ponerse celoso por algo que le encontró en su teléfono.
So by the defendant's supposed admission, that doesn't seem accidental.
Entonces, por las admisiones del acusado, esto no parece ser algo accidental.
So I think the no contact is appropriate to make sure that the Raquel CE is safe.
Así que la provisión prohibiendo contacto con la víctima es necesaria para asegurar que la víctima Raquel esté segura.
And I'll order that, as well as I'll set $400 cash bail.
Así que lo voy a ordenar tanto como una fianza de $400.
We've got a violation of a specific condition of bail, a recent failure to appear, and now a third criminal case.
Tenemos una violación de las condiciones específicas de fianza. Tenemos un arresto por un tercer caso.
So I think that bail and the conditions are necessary.
Eso que esas condiciones de fianza son necesarias y también una falta de comparecer.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz, and we'll be adjourned.
Gracias, señorita Cruz, y estaremos concluidos.
Next up is Demetrius Triplett.
Right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Demetrius Triplett. It's 26 CF 333 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
ERICKSON appears with Demetrius Triplett, who appears in person in custody. Mr. Triplett is eligible for public defender representation. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. Would update the mailing address for Mr. Triplett to 4620 Bray Street, apartment 324. That's in Madison, Wisconsin, 53705.
I'm sorry, can you give the spelling of the street name?
It's FREY.
Page 2.
Right, we'll make findings of probable cause, and are not guilty pleas to any misdemeanor charges. State's position on bail.
State's requesting cash bail in the amount of $5,000. I'm going to be requesting the court to make a finding of a likelihood of intimidation under 940.47. And based on that finding, I'll be requesting a no contact with Chandra C. It's SHAUNDRA. Also asking for a ban from the 4200 block of Lumley Road. That's LUMLEY. That's in Madison. Also, I would ask that he be referred to pretrial services with GPS monitoring and that be hooked up before he's released from the jail. And that he not possess any dangerous weapons. Also consistent with a finding under 940.47, I'd ask for an order that the defendant not be within 1,000 feet of Chandra C at any time. And in support of all these recommendations on the cash, I'll note This is the defendant's third domestic violence case involving the same victim in the last year. Get deferred prosecution for one of them that he pled into on November 25th, 2025. There had been previous allegations of intimidation of this victim and trying to prevent her from making a report of abuse to law enforcement. That's again what's being alleged here. There are also comments made to her since his last release from jail about shooting up her house or having someone else do that. And he bought a gun. So under an Act 3 analysis, I think that higher cash bail that has previously been posted is warranted here. I'll note the highest so far being 25 CF 1797. That was $3,000 that the defendant has already posted. The victim also enforced the 72-hour no contact in this case. And has informed us based on all that information, I'll note the state feels higher cash bail and pretrial services with GPS monitoring is appropriate.
All right, and you mentioned an Act 3 analysis. I'm not sure that any of the charged offenses qualify for that.
I was under the impression that count 2 was, but if I'm mistaken,
Well,
then
it's charged out as a misdemeanor, and I don't see that statute 940.44 listed under 969.001 sub 3 sub A. The felony version 940.45 is. But you can take a look at that and then I'll hear from Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking the court for a signature bond in this matter. As the state mentioned, Mr. Triplett had, I think, the 2 cases that are the basis for the felony bail jumps here. Mr. Triplett had resolved those cases for DPU. He was slated to, I think, begin that here. I think imminently. It looks like there was something filed that the contract was supposed to start here in February. Mr. Triplett was also slated to, I think he's slated to begin working at Walmart this week. I can certainly understand, I think, the request that the state has for pretrial services monitoring. And just looking past in Mr. Triplett's, I think those 2 felony cases, it doesn't appear, trying to look, it looks like it was ordered at the same time that the cash bail was initially put into place. It doesn't look like Mr. Triplett was ever actually able to post that $3,000 cash bail. It does look like he remained in custody here until he was able to resolve that case. As noted, DPU is for folks who don't have really a criminal history here. So I think this is Mr. Triplett's first, these cases are Mr. Triplett's first. He's never been put on pretrial services before, again, to my understanding. So I think given the lack of I think, prior criminal convictions for Mr. Triplett, I do think that the pretrial service monitoring here to enforce that no contact, that geographic ban, given that's where he was picked up here, would be appropriate. I think that is an appropriate step up. You know, Mr. Triplett is indigent. I don't think there's a reason necessarily to think that the amount of cash bail the state's asking for, cash bail otherwise, is necessary for him to resolve these cases. Again, he already has, I think, contact and ties going on with DPU. I'm not sure what's going to be happening with that, but he's already in the progress here with, I think, the underlying cases. So I'd ask the court to give him the opportunity to, I think, have these conditions in place and work with pretrial services monitoring to ensure his compliance there in lieu of any cash bail.
And any response from the state?
no, thank you.
Well, he's in the position where he doesn't even have to have bail in the underlying cases where he's on pretrial services. He can be adjudicated and held without bail pending his sentencing. This is concerning behavior, even though I don't believe it's Act 3 unless you've seen something that I'm missing while you were taking a look at that, Attorney Smith, and certainly interrupt and let me know. It's concerning that we're allegedly violating specific conditions in regards to the address ban, the no contact, were here involving physical violence, the same victim in the third case. And a court previously found that $3,000 cash bail was necessary to assure appearance in court. I don't think Mr. Triplett at this point is a better bail risk than he was back then. He's clearly a much worse bail risk. I'm going to set $3,500 cash bail. I'll order that he not be released except between the hours of 8 and 3. So he can be equipped with a GPS during business hours. He would need to report right to pretrial services upon posting. If he doesn't, then the bail can be forfeited and there'd be a warrant. I will make a finding under 94047, given the intimidation charge, even though it's a misdemeanor and not Act 3 eligible. It certainly is sufficient information to believe that there's substantial evidence of knowing or malicious prevention or dissuasion of any victim or witnesses. I'll also order a ban from 1,000, coming within 1,000 feet of Chandra C, in addition to the standard no contact, direct or indirect with them. And a ban from the 4200 block of Lumley Road, and that you not use or possess any dangerous weapons, as that term is defined by the state statutes. And I've said you've got to be equipped with the GPS to monitor those bans. What about time limits?
We asked that the time limits remain.
Okay, we'll get that scheduled and we'll be adjourned.
Next up is Jordan Peterson, appearing by.
Yeah.
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Jordan Peterson. That's 26 CF 331 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
ERICKSON appears with Jordan Peterson. Mr. Peterson appears in custody by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. Mr. Peterson, I think I can see you. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? Mr. Peterson looks to be nodding. Mr. Peterson, did you get a copy of the criminal complaint in this matter?
Yeah, just right now, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Did you get a copy of the criminal complaint?
Just as we speaking, yeah.
Okay. Is the address, there's an address on 1400 North Windsor. Is that the best mailing address for you?
No, sir.
Okay, what would you like it updated to?
8975 West Howard Avenue, Greenfield, Wisconsin, 53228.
What was the street again?
8975 West Howard Avenue, Greenfield, Wisconsin, 53228.
Did you say Howard? HOWARD? Let me check with the clerk to see if he heard it.
I had a couple of guesses. Hubbard was my first guess, Howard was my second guess, and Powers was my third guess. There's some extra noise here.
Yeah, we've got a lot of construction noise going on. Maybe you can spell it.
HOWARD, Howard.
Okay. Appreciate that, Mr. Peterson. All right, I'll make a finding of probable cause, enter not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. And there's a public safety assessment report. It recommends cash bail. I believe there was a victim who wanted to make a statement in this case. If that person is on Zoom, just identify yourself and then you can let us know what you think the court should order for bail or bond conditions.
Are you talking to me?
I'm not sure. This is the Jordan Peterson case. Are you the victim in that case?
Shayla White. Yes, I am Shayla Whitehouse.
Okay, and what did you wish to say, Ms. Whitehouse?
Well, based off of what they were saying, for him to not have contact with me, I was just here to speak on that I don't want to have no contact with him, just because we have a child in common, and just to keep him in a positive mind frame, and also for my son, just so they can speak to each other, because they were pushing for no contact. Also, I'm just going to say this, as the victim, Jordan needs mental health assessment. He is not competent for court.
Okay, and Ms. Whitehouse, just to clarify, did you want contact through a third party so he could have contact with your child? Or you wanted him to be able to have in-person contact with you and be at your residence?
I do not want him at my residence. No, I do not want him at my residence, because he needs to be assessed for mental health. He needs to be admitted to Mendota. He's not going to do it on his own, because I feel he is suffering from schizophrenia disorder.
Okay, and
But
so
he is allowed to contact me and to contact his son.
and I'm sorry, I think I was talking at the same time you were there. Can you repeat that last bit?
That he's allowed to have contact with me for his son. I just don't want him at my residence.
Okay, and the manner of contacting you, should that be like text or email or phone, or is it okay if that's in person but not at your residence?
It can be in person, but not at my residence. I'd rather meet somewhere else in a public place or at a family member's house. That's fine with me, but I don't want him at my residence.
Okay, I appreciate that. I was just trying to nail down the specifics of what you wanted, so I understood it. And I think your first name is spelled Shayla, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. I appreciate the information, Ms. Whitehouse. What's the state's position on bail?
State's requesting cash bail in the amount of $5,000, along with the conditions that the defendant have no contact with Shayla W. Also a ban from Windsor Avenue in Cottage Grove, along with no contact with Officer Andrew Marquard. I believe it's MARQUARD, with the exception for legitimate law enforcement purposes, and no dangerous weapons as defined by statute. In support of the cash, I'll note this is an Act 3 case. I'll also note the defendant was on bail at the time for a battery to the same victim in this case, and I'll note a failure to appear November 12th, 2025.
Right, and Attorney Schluter?
Just given the nature of the state's request, I'd ask a brief moment to speak with Mr. Pearson.
Okay, we'll be adjourned.
I think they're gonna go to another room to talk to you.
Yes.
We'll go on the record in the County of Dane versus Andre Smith, 26 FO 240 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state. Defendant appears in person in custody in the Dane County Jail.
Great, and Mr. Smith, the good news is you're not getting charged with a crime. You're going to get released yet today. I don't think anything else is holding you here. they've charged you with a non-criminal county ordinance for county disorderly conduct. So it's more like a traffic ticket. They're gonna have an offer. If you want to accept that, then you can just be done with your case. If not, you're still gonna get released, okay? Is there an offer?
Yeah, that'd be court costs only.
All right, so it's gonna come to $114.50. That would have to be paid in the next 60 days or work out some sort of payment plan with the clerk's office. Did you want to accept that offer and enter a no contest or guilty plea? Or do you want to contest the charges and enter a not guilty plea? Well, let me just be clear, the $114.50 is not like bail. You don't have to pay any money to get released. You're gonna get released no matter what. And if you wanted to be done with the case, then you'd have to pay $114.50 within the next 60 days or work out a payment plan if you needed more time. So regardless of whether you accept their offer or enter a not guilty plea, you're gonna get released and you don't have to pay anything up front.
60 with the payment plan, because I haven't started work yet.
Yeah, okay, I'll judge you guilty of county disorderly conduct based upon your no contest plea. Already pay the court costs of $114.50. They'll give you some information, contact the clerk's office, arrange for some sort of payment plan to extend it beyond the 60 days to get payment done. Okay, we'll be adjourned. You're welcome. All right, we're back on the record in 26 CF 331. The appearances are as before, and Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking the court for a signature bond in this matter. It's my understanding that Mr. Peterson doesn't have the amount of money to post, certainly that the state is asking for. I don't believe he's been evaluated by the public defender's office, but based on the information he told me, he doesn't currently have a job. In looking at, I think, the Milwaukee case that's pending, I believe that a public defender was appointed there, but all that's to say, based on the information he told me, I'm assuming he's most likely going to qualify. It doesn't sound like he has the means to really produce much cash bail in this matter. So that's part of the reason that we're asking for the signature bond here. We don't have an objection to I think largely the conditions that the state's asking for, but I think we would be asking that those conditions be consistent with what the victim came on and said here, that, you know, contact be allowed for the purposes essentially of childcare here. But Mr. Peterson is not asking for contact to go to this residence. We would ask the court to, I think, in lieu of cash bail, order pretrial services to monitor that. And allow Mr. Peterson the opportunity to resolve this case out of custody. I would note that I believe in the pending Dane County case he did just appear out of custody in that case on January 15th. So he does have a recent history of appearing here for court. And so I do think that there's good reason to believe he will come to court and resolve this matter.
All right, and any response from the state?
Can I say something?
Briefly, ma'am.
Jordan's not allowed at that address he gave you. He's not allowed at either one of the addresses on Howard. His grandmother will call the police on him if he arrives there. Jordan is homeless. Jordan lives with me. He has nowhere else to go. That's why I'm trying to tell you guys, Jordan is not competent for court. He is homeless. None of his family will take him because he suffers from schizophrenia. Jordan needs help.
Okay.
If you release him to the streets, he's going to get in trouble again.
Okay, I appreciate the information, ma'am. So it's concerning that he's out on bail on 2 Act 3 eligible crimes, and here we are for additional Act 3 eligible crimes, allegedly kicking the victim who's pregnant. That's seriously concerning, battering her multiple times. The kid got pushed as a result of the victim being pushed or struck. There was the prior battery involving this very same victim. Then we've got all of the contact and behavior with law enforcement, which is consistent with what the victim's saying in regards to his current mental health situation. I don't have any authority to order a Chapter 51 commitment here to address those particular issues. But I'm very concerned about the safety of this victim, other members of the public. given this history and record. I'm gonna set $5,000 cash. I'm gonna order a no contact direct and direct with Shayla W. Except through a third party and then only for purposes of communicating with the minor child. I appreciate the concession from the victim about contact in public, but given what she said, what I read in the complaint, I don't think that's safe right now until Mr. Peterson addresses some significant mental health concerns. I'll order a ban from Windsor Avenue.
Hey, Judge.
And so Mr. Peterson, you probably don't want to make any,
Hold on.
probably don't want to make any statements right now because it's
No,
all
but
being
I'm saying I'm a
recorded.
29-year-old man, man. I got support with my family. My father opened a jailhouse call, man, and to asking me if I gotta post my bail, man, I could post my bail, man. My own father, man. How can somebody speak for me, man? I'm 29 years old, man. How can somebody speak for me, man, who bailed me out of Milwaukee County Jail December 19th for $5,000, sir? How am I at risk of the community when I'm going to every court date?
All right, well, the risk to the community is the continued. Please mute both parties. Please mute both parties. The risk is evident based upon the charges involving battery, burglary that continue to get charged out. So my reasoning stands. Nothing Mr. Peterson said changes my opinion on that. I think I said the ban from the Windsor Avenue address in Cottage Grove, and also a no contact director and direct with Officer Andrew Marquardt, and that he not use or possess any dangerous weapons, as that term is defined by the state statutes. And Attorney Schluter, your position as to time limits?
I'd ask that they be kept. I'd also ask for clarification. I think the state had asked for the no contact with Officer Marquardt except for in any sort of official capacity. I just have to that be put in given his.
That's a reasonable change to that, and I think that's consistent with what the state asked for, so I'll order that. We'll get a timely preliminary hearing scheduled and we'll be adjourned. Thank you.
Next up is Shaquille Boone Richards. Boone Richards. Boone Richards. Boone Richards. All right, next up we'll do David Kruschek. David, you got it?
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus David Kruschek. It's 26 CF 334 appearances.
Sam Smith for the state.
Erickson appears with David Kruschek, who appears in person in custody. I'm going to. Okay. So my understanding, Mr. Kruschek anticipates hiring a private attorney on this case.
Yeah. Okay. So.
He's fine with my appearance here, limited capacity to represent him at the initial appearance. The address listed on the criminal complaint is correct. Would acknowledge receipt of that complaint and wait for more reading.
Okay, so Mr. Kruschek, obviously you have the right to an attorney. If you find out that you can't hire private counsel after today, you could apply for a public defender. We'll get you that information. The middle option is applying for a county appointed attorney if you're kind of caught in the middle between those options. Okay, I'll make a finding of probable cause. There is a PSA report. Recommends a signature bond, state's position on bail.
State's recommending a signature bond along with the condition that he not consume or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
All right, any objections?
No.
Okay, we'll order a signature bond. Condition will be that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And you'd have the right to a preliminary hearing in the next 20 days. Attorney Schluter, what's his position on that?
Would waive time limits.
Okay, we are adjourned.
This one, got it. It's been already ready. It's already ready.
Next up is Shaquille Boone Richards. Bill Richards. It's down to the X.
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Shaquille Boone Richards. It's 25 CM 1879 and 26 CF 328 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Yep. Um,
Eric Sitter appears with Shaquille Boone Richards, who appears in person in custody. Mr. Boone Richards is eligible for public defender representation. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaints, waive formal reading. The address listed is correct.
Okay, so 25 CM 1879 went out on a complaint and warrant and probable cause has been found. I've reviewed 26 CF 328. I'll find probable cause. The DOC hold, I think, is still in place, state's position on bail.
Start with 26 CF 328. In that case, the state's recommending cash bail in the amount of $10,000. Along with the conditions that he not consume or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And no contact with Antonio Richards. In support of the cash, I'll note the defendant has had cash bail in all 8 of his cases since 2015. In this case, what's being alleged is that he was part of a controlled buy of fentanyl. He's on extended supervision for a 2022 heroin case. And he was in an absconder status while allegedly dealing more here. So for those reasons, the state feels significant cash bail is warranted there. And in 25 CM 1879. The state's requesting $2,000 cash and no contact with Tyra W. It's TYRA. In support of the cash in that case, I'll note it is an Act 3 case. The defendant does have history with this particular victim and other victims dating back to 2013. And just one more moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
I'm seeing bench warrants issued for this defendant October 25th, 2021, January 17th, 2020, and a few more older than that. But for those reasons, I think cash is appropriate in each of the cases.
Attorney Schluter.
Just we asked the court to consider a lower amount of cash bail from Mr. Boone Richards here. I know the state's asking for, I think, a fairly significant amount. Bail is supposed to consider the means and ability of the poster, along with what's required to, I think, ensure their appearance here to any concern or extent. The court is concerned about that. Given Mr. Boone Richards' indigency, I don't believe that the thousands of dollars of cash bail that's been requested is necessary here. I think it's also, I suppose, a little bit of a moot point while that hold is in place, but I do think that $500 cash bail in each of the cases would be more appropriate to Mr. Boone Richards. means, I think would ensure some cash bail, that the state feels is necessary. But I don't believe, as I mentioned, that the thousands that are requested here, would be appropriate.
All right, I think there's a need for cash bail. He was an absconder on supervision. There's the appearance history. There's a relatively lengthy history and a history of getting cash bail. I think a lesser amount in the felony case is sufficient to assure appearance. That's not an Act 3 eligible case. I'll set $2,500 cash bail, order that you have no contact, direct or indirect, with Antonio Richards, and that you not use or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. In the misdemeanor case, I'll set $1,000 cash bail, order no contact, direct or indirect, with Tyra W. Does he want a prelim in the felony in the next 10 days?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll get that scheduled and we'll be adjourned.
Right, swear this way. Next up is Odine Hyman, during by Zoom.
Hello.
Okay, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Odine Hyman II. That's 26 CM 327 appearance.
Sam Smith for the state.
Eric Schluter appeared with Odin Hyman. Mr. Hyman appears from the Dane County Jail by Zoom. Sir, can you give me a thumbs up through the box or just indicate if you can hear me all right?
I can hear you, and I do need to speak as well for the record.
Okay, well, sir, given that, well, Mr. Hyman, I will try to get a breakout room with you before we make any sort of bail argument, okay?
Please repeat that.
I heard you that you said you wanted to speak with me before we, conclude this hearing or make a bail argument. We will do that.
With the actual situation of being heard.
Okay, well, I will talk to you before we do that, okay?
Yeah, now's not the time for that right now. And as far as getting him a lawyer,
He is eligible for public defender representation.
For the record.
and I'll make a finding of probable cause for the charges. We'll enter not guilty pleas to those. And we'll hear the state's position on bail.
State's recommending cash bail in the amount of $500, along with the conditions that he make no acts or threats of violence toward Alma U. It's ALMA, last initial U as in umbrella. Defendant, or I'm also requesting a ban from the 900 block of West Badger Road. It's in Madison 53713. And no consumption or possession of alcohol. In support of the cash, I'll note what's being alleged is the defendant is violating two relatively specific bail conditions in an open case after he's already posting cash bail. For that reason, the state feels more cash is necessary.
And just for clarification, is Alma U the same victim in the underlying case? And is that consistent with her wishes? I think she had indicated to your office that she wanted to make a statement. I don't believe she's on Zoom, and we're an hour and a half past the scheduled time.
Yeah, I did just receive information that she will not be making a statement as to specifics on her wishes or preferences. I don't have any additional information.
And is it the same victim in the underlying case or a different victim?
Commissioner, I did look at the two open cases, either have a no contact or no actual threats condition related to this victim. There is already a ban for the 900 block of West Badger Road that's in 26 CM 118. Now looking at the jail computer, here's the $72 no contact waived.
Okay, appreciate that.
I do not have information indicating that she is the victim in any other case other than this one.
Okay, and then any additional argument on the bail and the cash?
Other than what I've provided, no, I don't have anything new to add.
Okay, and then Attorney Schluter, you wanted to speak with Mr. Hyman, so we'll adjourn so we can do that.
Sam.
Great, we are back on the record in 26 CM 327 appearances as before. Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking the court for a signature bond in this case. Would ask the court to consider in lieu of cash bail here. I think Mr. Hyman on pretrial services monitoring. I'm just looking through, I don't believe that in the cases that are pending here, that Mr. Hyman has been put on pretrial services monitoring. I think given the information that's in the criminal complaints, I think that would be more appropriate than I think keeping Mr. Hyman in custody on cash bail. It's my understanding, speaking to him, that he doesn't have the money to post the $500 cash bail the state is requesting in this case. Otherwise, I think in looking through the complaints, there's a couple of things that stick out. I think number one, they list their, being these open alcohol containers. I think that's something that pretrial services can monitor. And number two, I think they make allusions to the fact that I think even police in contacting Mr. Hyman are concerned about just some of the, I think, statements that he's making, not making particular sense. Mr. Hyman mentioning that he has, I think, some mental health issues that he's been dealing with. And talking to Mr. Hyman, he is working with Journey Mental Health currently out in the community. I think that pretrial services monitoring will allow him to continue that progress, but also provide some additional oversight to ensure that he's complying with these conditions here. As the state mentioned, at got review, Alma, the listed alleged victim here is not related to, I think, the other cases that Mr. Hyman has pending here. I think given the information that we have, I would ask the court not to institute a full no contact with her. I think if the court feels that some condition is necessary, no actual threats of violence is sufficient. I think given the nature of the allegations here, I think that's more than enough. And so under those circumstances, Judge, again, we'd ask the court to, I think, consider pretrial services here as the appropriate. I think they can monitor for any sort of controlled substance use. If that's a concern, I think they can ensure compliance with any sort of GPS restriction. And I think that would be more appropriate than having Mr. Hyman under the circumstances sit in the jail.
And any response, Attorney Smith?
I just want to clarify, my request is for no acts or threats of violence towards Alma U, but nothing new to add. Thank you.
All right, so I think he's already out on cash bail in 26 CM 118, $150 and $400 in 24 CM 2807. So that's concerning. He's already got cash bail on the line, picking up another case. I get the argument in regards to the alcohol and that being an addiction. I'm not sure why there's a violation of a specific address ban, though. That's not an addiction issue. That's concerning from a bail perspective, and looks like in the one case he failed to appear August 20th of 2025. I see this as a cash bail case. I'll set $500 cash bail. I will order the no acts or threats of violence with Alma U. I think that's consistent with her wishes, and she wasn't the victim in the underlying cases. I will again order the ban from the 900 block West Badger Road in order that he not possess or consume any alcohol, and we'll be adjourned.
Next up is Willie Thomas for a bail bond hearing. Mr. Thomas. Everybody stand on the yellow lights.
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Willie Thomas. It's 25 CM 2586, 25 CM 2866, and 25 CM 3065 appearances.
Sam Smith for the state.
That's that one.
Yeah, and just so you're aware, I think the new charges were declined, so all we've got is the bail bond hearings. There was a failure to appear January 29th of this year, and prior failures to appear older than that, according to the PSAs.
Eric Schlitter appears with Willie Thomas, who appears in person in custody. I do believe that Mr. Thomas currently has, I believe, an attorney appointed on the cases that are here for a bail hearing. Sorry, I don't know if there's anything else to.
Well, and I don't think he's been out long enough, so they wouldn't have closed out their case. So get in touch with your attorney. I think it can sometimes be helpful to just confirm the mailing address that we have on file is still accurate. I think we were using the Beacon. Is that still the correct place for you to get mail, Mr. Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you've got any information you want to provide Attorney Schluter about the failure to appear, I'd be happy to hear that.
So just those, I'm happy to provide that information. I'm just wondering if the state.
Sure, we can hear from the state first, that's fine.
The state's requesting cash bail in the amount of $500 per case across each of these cases and the reinstatement of the non-monetary conditions. In support of that, I'll note not only the failure to appear, I believe it was January 29th, that was a status conference in branch 8. And I'll note other bench warrants issued June 20th, 2024, April 30th, 2024, November 27th, 2023, January 14th, 2021. And then a couple in 2011. I don't think the ones from 2011 are super relevant, but I'm honestly surprised this defendant was on signature bonds to begin with prior to the most recent failure to appear. So I think cash is warranted in each of these cases.
Okay, and Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. So in talking to, I think, Mr. Thomas, I guess first a note, I think in 2 of the 3 cases that are open, Mr. Thomas's current address lists as, I believe it's still 2000 Fordham, or at least it was, I think, what I listed 615 East Washington for the weekend. So I just asked that they all reflect that current address. Mr. Thomas, I think, has recently been able to get a phone, has a new phone number. As I mentioned, there's an attorney assigned in this case. I think, as the court can see here, Mr. Thomas has dealt with homelessness in the community. I don't have a reason at this point, Judge, to raise competency, but I do think it's relevant here that the 2 most recent cases that Mr. Thomas had, he was found not competent, not likely to regain. I would leave that in the hands of the attorney that's appointed on this case, but I do think, given that, and those were 2025 cases, I think there's potentially reasons beyond just Mr. Thomas's homelessness that have maybe played into his conduct here, his ability to, I think, come to court. Given that updated phone number, the new access to a phone here, I think clarifying again his address, I think that would be hopefully sufficient to, I think, provide a better basis for Mr. Thomas to come to court and resolve these matters, whatever that might be. I think given the information we have, though, I would certainly ask the court to not institute cash bail, which I think at this point would just have Mr. Thomas sitting in custody. I don't think there's any reason to think that he has the ability to post cash bail in these cases. So I'd ask the court to give him an opportunity to, I think, under these updated circumstances, work with his attorney and figure out what needs to be done in these cases.
All right. Well, I appreciate you mentioning that address. I had missed it in 25 CM 3065. It hadn't been updated. It was still the Fordham address, but the clerk will take care of that. I think we're just at a history that's got way too many failures to appear. As the state noted, they were surprised that he got a signature bond at the initial appearance. The PSA had him at the very top of the scale for new criminal activity. 4 out of 6 on failure to appear. That analysis isn't getting any better with another recent failure to appear. I think there's a need for cash bail. I think a lesser cash bail than what's been requested is appropriate. I think the judge pretty much hit the nail on the head, and I'll set the bail where it was set by the judge, $250 per case with the prior non-monetary conditions. And we'll have the matter sent back to the branch and get a hold of your lawyer. They can certainly file a motion to review the bail if you're not able to post, Mr. Thomas. We are adjourned.
So I can get out of here.
That's what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm ready to listen. I can't hear him.
All right, we're ready to go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Destiny Sanders. It's 26 CM 325 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Eric Suter appears with Destiny Sanders, who appears by Zoom.
I
from
am
the Dane County Jail.
Sanders.
Sanders,
Thank you.
ma'am, I'm sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Speak up.
Okay. I'll try, Miss Sanders. Did you get a copy of the criminal complaint?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, is the 2910 Horde Street number 6 the best mailing address for you?
No, y'all. Scott Peterson got a restraining order, so technically I'm still, I ain't trying to cause no trouble.
Okay, so I think I have something listed here, the job center. Is that where you want mail sent?
Yeah,
1819
I get
Horde?
there eventually.
Okay. I would ask to update the mailing address to the 1819 Aberg, the job center. Ms. Sanders is eligible for public defender representation.
Great, I'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the charges, state's position on bail.
State's recommending cash bail in the amount of $500, along with a ban from Perkins Restaurant and no contact with Daniel C.
Understood.
I'll note, in support of the cash, the defendant has 3 failures to appear in 2022. And this is her 3rd case this year, so the state feels some cash is necessary. Thank you.
And Attorney Schluter?
Could I have a brief breakout room with Ms. Sanders?
Sure.
And she's actually relatively close by. It might be easier to just go down there and speak.
Oh, that'd be great.
And if you needed to talk to the other two, you could.
Well, West.
We're back on the record in 26 CM 325 appearances as before, and Attorney Schluter.
Thank you, Judge. We're asking the courts in this matter to institute a signature bond for Ms. Sanders. Ms. Sanders is indigent. She doesn't have the cash bond to post that the state's requesting for. What I would ask the court to do here instead is to put Ms. Sanders on pretrial services monitoring. I think in looking through the complaint, I think very clearly, at least based on what's alleged, this appears to, I think, be related to potential substance abuse issues. They initially call because they say that somebody's at this Perkins and they think that they're on something. I think pretrial services here can provide that monitoring to do any sort of, monitoring of Ms. Sanders out in the community for drug or alcohol use. They can do random testing as well as alcohol if that's what the court deems appropriate. I do think that would be more appropriate. I think that would be an appropriate step up here as opposed to cash bail in this matter. Ms. Sanders is otherwise fine with the no contact with Perkins and with the, I think the Daniel C that the state had requested.
Okay, and any response, Attorney Smith?
No.
Well, she's picked up 3 cases in real short order, less than a month. That's concerning from a bail perspective. She's got a number of failures to appear in the last 3 years. I see this as a cash bail case. I'm willing to set it at a lesser amount. I'll set it at $300. Order a ban from Perkins, all Perkins locations, no contact, direct or indirect with Danielle C. And we'll be adjourned.
By Zoom.
All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus RSL Gross. It's 26 CF 322 appearances.
Sam Smith for the state.
Arzel Gross is appearing via video from the Dane County Jail with attorney Miles Leone in the courtroom. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint, and I don't believe we have a determination made for whether they're eligible for the public defender at this time, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Gross will make sure you get the public defender information. In case you can't hire an attorney on your own, give them a call to see if you're eligible. I'll make a finding of probable cause. Looks like there's a PSA report recommends cash bail. State's position on bail.
State's recommending a signature bond and no contact with Officer Melissa Stewart, with the exception to be if there's contact necessary as part of her official law enforcement duties.
Any objections?
No objection.
Okay, we'll order a signature bond. Condition will be a no contact direct or indirect with Officer Melissa Stewart unless that's necessary in their duties as a law enforcement officer. As to time limits.
We would enforce time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll get it scheduled for a preliminary hearing in the next 20 days. Won't give you a lot of time to get a lawyer, so make sure you either hire one or contact the public defender's office right away. We'll be adjourned. All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Anthony Moore. It's 26 CF 326 appearances.
ADA Sam Smith for the state.
Anthony Moore appears via video from the Dane County Jail with Attorney Miles Leon in the courtroom. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint. At this time, we'd waive any further reading. He is eligible for the public defender, and I believe the current address that I have is for the Beacon.
Okay, we'll update that address. I'll make a finding of probable cause. State's position on bail.
State's recommending a signature bond and a condition that he have no contact with police officer Caleb Wright. It's WRIGHT with the exception of for legitimate law enforcement contact.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll order a signature bond. Condition will be that you have no contact, direct or indirect, with law enforcement officer Caleb Wright unless necessary during their duties as a law enforcement officer. As to time limits for the preliminary hearing.
We would enforce time limits. Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.
And we're rescheduling Mr. Easterling, Ms. Lee and Mr. Trimble, so that is everybody for that.